Canada's premiers are gathering in Charlottetown this week, and they were joined today by Prime Minister Mark Carney. Dave Naylor, Chief Editor of the Western Standard, joins us now to dive into this and other provincial issues. Dave Naylor, welcome back. I think the word on everyone's lips right now was tariffs. Tariffs, and more tariffs, right?
Yeah, tariffs, and more tariffs. Coming after the shock announcement from President Trump that he was imposing 50% tariffs on a wide range of products, including hockey sticks, believe it or not. So when you crunch the numbers, Ontario and Quebec and BC are the ones that are getting hit hardest by it. I guess that's why Premier Ford had a bit of a meltdown and said Canada could dismantle the United States if we wanted to. Well, I think maybe Doug Ford had been drinking too many of his favorite American bourbon.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't think there's many way Canada can dismantle it. But he wants Canada to come out and hit hard back and, as he says, make America feel the pain. As of right now, though, there are no plans for retaliatory tariffs. That's what the U.S. Trade Representative said, that he talked to Canadians and there were no plans to do anything in retaliation. So I guess Prime Minister Carney's plan is just to keep doing what he says and building Canada stronger and do all these major projects, even though there's not been a single shovel in the ground on any of them yet, and to do trade deals with other countries and move closer to Europe and basically depend on the United States less and less. So their talks are going to be interesting today. Premier Ford was hinting at using maybe Alberta oil to ramp up the pressure on the United States, and Daniel Smith has put a firm hand up, no way that's going to happen. David Eby has stressed that there'll be no chance in hell American liquor goes back on British Columbia shelves. So I think you got two sets of premiers. Those that are being hard by it want to fight back with everything Canada's got. Those that aren't getting hit by it are just sort of, okay, we'll have to take this again.
Right. And I guess while the premiers were all talking tough on Trump's tariffs, pipelines also have been a big news item. And it looks like, as predicted, Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew is now on board with the Alberta-Ontario pipeline.
Yeah, I hate to say I told you so, but I think I told you so, Jeanette, that,
yes.
He was initially against it, but now there's the opportunity, obviously, for some Indigenous tribes in Manitoba and some Manitoba groups to maybe score themselves some federal cash. So Premier Kinew says he's now he's open to it. So one of the interesting things he says is we've got people unemployed here in Manitoba that we can get them to work building this pipeline that's going to run from Alberta to Sarnia, Ontario, if everything lines up. But it didn't really take him long. He really didn't put up much of a fight from saying, I'm opposed to it, to, all right, let's talk. So the mighty dollar always rules, Jeanette.
Speaking of the mighty dollar, Dave, the much-delayed $6.4 billion Gordie Howe Bridge from Windsor, Ontario to Michigan, set to open again to traffic on Monday. So now Prime Minister Carney is being accused of misleading Canadians on the deal.
Yeah, some people say misleading. I say lying. This bridge was paid for by Canada, built with all Canadian stuff, and as you mentioned, $6.4 billion. It's not a small project. But then a couple of weeks ago, President Trump said he didn't like the deal because the deal at that time had all the proceeds of the tolls going to pay off the bridge, going to pay back the Canadian side's bill. Donald Trump didn't like that. He says, well, we're not getting anything out of this. Why should we participate? and they quietly did their own deal in which the Americans will share in the tolls. And that's something that Carney said wasn't going to happen, but apparently is going to happen. He was asked about it by reporters in Ottawa before flying to Charlottetown, and he just walked away. He didn't answer it. But yeah, I think we've got the first big lie of the Mark Carney premiership.
Yeah, because I believe on the website of that, the Gordie Howe Bridge, it doesn't really address the whole issue of paying back the debt, does it?
No, and there's going to be a bit of a party on Friday to celebrate the opening of it, but
Okay.
that's only on the U.S. side. The Canadians have decided that they are not going to participate in any opening ceremonies, mainly because of the friction and the tariffs and the 50% announcement earlier this week. So. Big party on the American side, no party on the Canadian side, and traffic will open on Monday.
Yeah, I had also heard that there were some accusations on the Canadian side saying that the reason why Trump didn't reopen the bridge, or while he kind of stalled it, was because the billionaire owners of the Ambassador Bridge were big Trump supporters or Republican Party donors. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but it's
You never know what's going on in the mind of Mr. Trump, do you? Or who he's been talking to. But yeah, it's you know what? If I was an American, I'd say, yeah, why are the Canadians getting all the revenue from this? Traffic's going 50-50. I would want at least a 50-50 split. And it appears that's what the president wanted. The president got, because he says he's now happy with the deal.
Excellent. All right, then. The good news is traffic will resume back and forth. Moving on here to a very sad story. So, Dave, Calgary, and in fact, much of southern Alberta, much of all of Alberta, much of Canada, I would imagine, has been gripped by the case of Parker Wells, who is an 11-year-old autistic, nonverbal little boy who has been missing for, well, a week now, a week today, Thursday. So, Dave, what's the latest on this tragic mystery?
Still not a sign of little Parker. It's really is captured the city of the plight of this poor boy. The police have expended all sorts of resources. Hundreds of officers, even RCMP officers, have come in. They say they've walked enough steps in their search to get from Calgary to London, England. So it really has been a massive police undertaking. The fire department has searched nearby waterways. It's ironic in a way that there's been some sort of almost vigilantism in that people are helping out in the search, and they're going into trying to break into houses and check for Parker there. So that's police have said, please don't do that. Police have said Parker had the habit of closing doors and locking them behind him. So, in my opinion, Jeanette, there's two things that could have happened to him. He's locked himself in some sort of place where, unfortunately, now, we've had several hot days, plus 30 Celsius. It will have been more than a week without water or food, so that doesn't lead to any good outcomes. Or reality is he's being taken. He's been kidnapped and disappeared into the murky underworld of human traffickers. And it may be a case that we just never find out. Parker may have vanished off the face of the earth, and we'll never know. I just can't imagine what his parents are going through. The time that they, Parker was missing for about an hour from his day home daycare when the announcement was, or when the police were finally called. So I can't imagine from that moment on that family's just the torment that they're having to go through. It's absolutely horrible, and unfortunately, I think we're probably getting close to the point where police have to maybe look at scaling back their operations, because they literally have looked just about everywhere.
Do you know if they've used tracking dogs or anything like that, or even like sonar radar to see heat from a body? I don't know all the equipment that police have, but I would imagine they've used everything. But you are right there in Calgary.
Yeah, they've used everything. They've had the Hawks helicopter flying, and that's got the heat sensors.
Okay.
We asked the question. They actually Parker took off his shirt, and his shirt was found on a sidewalk. And the question we wanted to know was whether police had called out a tracking dog to try and do a search from the T-shirt onwards. And if they did, how come they couldn't find a scent? Because these police dogs are just magnificent with their sense of smell. Uh, Police really didn't answer it. They said they didn't at that point need police dogs, but they've been involved in the search, through the backyards and whatnot. There isn't a resource that the Calgary Police haven't used. Except maybe a psychic. I haven't heard anybody talking about a psychic yet, which I guess is probably good news. But everything from drones to they're using AI now to scan CCTV. They can take a 5 or 6 hour roll of CCTV and have it scanned through AI in a matter of seconds. So that really is
Didn't they show sort of a tracking of where he kind of walked, and it looked like he was kind of going all over the place, like in circles, but in a very small area?
Yeah, it's in a small community called Thorncliffe in northeastern Calgary. It actually borders Center Street. So yeah, he looked. They released a pathway that he's taken. It looked like it was zigzagging.
And of course, being neurodivergent, it adds an element of extra challenge. He was wearing, was it noise cancellation headphones?
Right. And apparently he loved Walt Disney music. So police cars have been blaring out theme songs from The Lion King and whatnot in the hopes of if Parker hears it, that he comes towards the music. But
right. And if anybody has any tips there to call Calgary Police Service, CPS?
Yeah, if you have any tips or if you see Parker, call 911 immediately. Do not try and engage with Parker. Just keep him in your sight until police get there.
Yeah. Let's hope that we have a good ending to this tragic mystery.
Thoughts and prayers, as they say.
Definitely. Dave Naylor, Chief Editor of the Western Standard. Thanks so much for joining us today from Calgary.
Thanks, Jeanette. Take care.